the Kansas City Chiefs safety is out for the rest of the season, and the former Kansas City Chiefs head coach Dick Vermeil joining me now live on the Rich Eisen Show. Coach, what do you think is going on in Kansas City, and how Andy Reid and the rest of the team is dealing with the news about Eric Berry?
Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to Andy this week. I would say they're in a real concerned state of mind right now. I think the team is probably sort of rallying around. Andy's great at bringing a team together, and this kind of adversity really even brings them close together, sorry to say, but it really pulls people together, and they will rally around Eric, I'm sure, and do everything they can to support him emotionally and morally, but it's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, Berry addressed the whole team, Coach, and I know you've been involved in many emotional settings in a locker room, and we're all wishing that the diagnosis for Berry is not as bad as it might seem right now. What do you think Andy Reid is going? What's going through his head right now, Coach?
Well, knowing Andy Reid like I do, the number one concern is the young man's health and the state. And the number two concern is getting the right evaluation by the right experts. And Kansas City has a great medical team within the organization. They have a great medical community. So everything they do will be done right with great class and dignity. And but I would say everything is around concern. And then secondly and thirdly, going on and preparing the team to play for the next week. But there's no way it cannot be a distraction. It's just one of those things, because all those players, as you know, having been in many locker rooms as you have, they care about each other. So but I think it'll pull them together.
Dick Vermeil joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Mike Pettin has got a backup quarterback that made headlines, even though, as we're hearing about it, Manziel might have just been in the middle of something that he didn't start. My question for you is, Coach, what would you tell Johnny Manziel moving forward where he currently is in his career?
As far as long as he is in his career now, I doubt I could say anything to him that would make sense, because a lot brighter people than me have already tried to talk to him, from coaches to management to players to former great players. Nothing good for an NFL player happens after midnight, okay? Never does. 90% of the problems I ever had with a player, it happened after midnight. This was 2:30 a.m. in the morning. He has no business being up at that time on a Friday evening, going into Saturday anyway. He's a real problem. They took a chance, when they drafted him. I think they ignored some principles of sound judgment in regard to drafting a guy that has these problems. When you're investing the kind of money you're going to invest in a quarterback in the first round, he better not have any shades of gray. It's like buying a brand new Mercedes with a bad rear end. You don't buy it. You just don't buy it. And that would, I think they've got their hands full of that guy, and always will.
Dick Vermeil joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you think is playing out with Jay Gruden in Washington, D.C., going to the podium as he did last week and being so brazen in his evaluation of his quarterback, then apologizing for it, then saying something similar to the print media and Albert Breer? What do you make of what's going on with Jay Gruden and RG3 in D.C., Coach?
I don't think a coach should ever be criticized for being honest. I think Jay was probably as forthright and honest as he could possibly be, and he told it as it was, and I've seen the comments many times. I didn't see anything real negative about it. He probably might think after it's over, well, maybe I could have smoothed it out or anything, but he told the truth. The truth normally works. Not always, but it normally works, and I think the truth will help the quarterback. The truth will help the quarterback, because he's a real solid guy, has been for a long time. He hasn't had any dings in his profile from a personality or conduct standpoint that I know of. So I think he'll grow from that kind of an evaluation and accept it. He was raised in a military family. He knows what discipline's all about. He knows what being corrected and directed is all about, and I think it'll all work itself out. And I think, in my mind, Jay gains respect of the team because they know.
Speaking of discipline, Tom Coughlin, the elder statesman of the coaching ranks in the National Football League, it appears to be another lost season in a row for him. What do you think is going through his mind, Coach?
Knowing Tom Coughlin like I do, the only thing he's thinking about is winning the next one. I mean, there's nobody in the league any tougher than him emotionally and mentally, and he will handle. They lost the game. Dallas didn't beat them. They lost the game. I mean, you look at the stats and in every category, they won the football game, but they ended up losing. And I just think Tom will keep those guys as he has in the past going, and they'll end up winning a few more ball games before the season's over. He is one of the toughest profile coaches I've ever been around. I have great admiration and respect for him. And I think it transmits and moves into his coaching staff and to his roster.
But what does it take to be at this stage of your career? And I don't want to, every time we talk about this, Coach, it does sound ageist because of how of how he is the oldest coach in the NFL, and how as coaches grow older, and you've mentioned this to me, and Jim Mora Sr.'s mentioned this to me, that the winning, the emotion of winning, isn't as satisfying to get you out of the depths that losing creates for you.
Yeah,
and the question is how does Coughlin keep going about it in that sunny disposition sort of way to keep on keeping on?
Well, I think that's a reflection of his overall character. As you look back at his career in New York, he's been out of it a few times and finished real strong and gone on to the playoffs and never lost a road game. Those kinds of things. He was fired in Jacksonville, was the biggest mistake maybe ever made by an NFL owner. And he goes and takes the team to the Super Bowl twice and wins it both times. So I think it's just his depth of character. And I've known Tom since he was a young coach, when he came to Philadelphia in the mid-'80s as an assistant coach to Marion Campbell, and then got to really know him when he was the head coach at Boston College. There will be very little that will really distract him from doing what he's hired to do.
And, Coach, before I let you go, former UCLA coach that you are, and a good friend of Jim Mora Sr., to see Jim Mora Jr., as he was previously known, do as well as he is doing for UCLA, beating USC 3 in a row, got a big game against Stanford, maybe even a shot at the big title games coming up. What are your thoughts on what Jim Mora is doing in Westwood?
Well, I don't think anybody's done it any better since Terry Donahue was there. He's done a great job. He is a perfect fit for UCLA in every way, I think. I've been around that campus, and my daughter lives in the area, and I know what the community thinks and how they feel about this guy. I think he's just a perfect fit. I think it's a perfect for him professionally, a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit for the school and the community. They like this guy, not only because he's winning, because he's doing a great job in every category with his players and his administration and his recruiting, his image of the school. He is a great ambassador for that school, and obviously a very fine football coach, and his staff is very good.
Well, I know your family lives in the area because they live in my area too, Coach.
Right, yeah. They live right there, just a few blocks away.
I know. Do I get to
see you? I'll see you in December.
Okay, I don't know if I get to see you this week. If I could just walk up with the kids and the dog like I did last year.
Yeah, I'll pour you a glass of wine.
I'll take that. Coach, thanks again. I look forward to chatting with you every week here on The Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, I do too, Rich. Yeah, you're the best. Take care. Have a great Thanksgiving.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.